Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D. Haven't had a chance to do my LinkedIn and YouTube live videos in a while. Been pretty busy around here doing some neat things. I've been missing my Monday sessions. So, the reality of the matter is, we've just been really busy doing some neat work, literally throughout the land, and most of it virtual. Just had a wonderful opportunity to fly over to Texas and motivate about 400 young kids in the Middle Rio Grande. Haven't done that in a while live, and was actually in a football stadium, so kind of like in my neck of the woods. But it was beautiful facility, beautiful setup, beautiful stage, beautiful young people. As you know, many of you know, our business now is we're doing a lot of work on contract work with organizations, businesses, corporations, doing the diversity, equity, and inclusion, racial equity in particular, doing core values integration with organizations, businesses, agencies. And so we've been doing some pretty neat things recently. A lot of people think that my work is primarily just being a motivational speaker, and that ship passed a long time ago. I do quite a few of them with keynotes and all, but I enjoy building systems. So, nice as it is to stand on the stage and inspire people, which we do a lot of that. We really do more. The bulk of our business nowadays is more structure and building stuff in the area of core values and equity, inclusion systems, and teamwork, team building with our customers. And that's a neat aspect of work. But I wanted to wrap up our day. I wanted to do this a little earlier, so I don't know how many people are going to get a chance to see this, but I wanted to kind of end the day by talking about something I know a lot of people think about, but very few businesses and organizations take the time to do, and that is to create systems of core values based upon a process of integration. One of the most frustrating aspects to me as a professional in the professional development space is to see people say they're going to do something and they're good at it for about 6 months and then they drop it. They may go, a good 6, 7, 8, 9 months, man, and then back to business as usual. And this happens all the time. That's why the whole thing with diversity, equity, and inclusion doesn't make sense unless you're going to put together a system. You're going to make it part of HR policy. You're going to make it a part of community development. If not, within a year, it's gone. And a lot of that has to do with what I'm going to talk to you about today. And that is, the reality is, without an organization operating based upon a system of core values, what happens is the emotions, the attitudes, and the dispositions of the moment become the driving force. So, for instance, I do a lot of work in the area of workforce development. That's an area I've been in that work for about 20 plus years. And in the workforce development, you do a lot with helping people find employment and land jobs and things of that nature. And, build, we work with organizations to build effective systems and things like that. But here's the deal. The reality of the matter is, a lot of people say they're going to have a sense of client centricity and client customer service and things like that. And then a client comes in with a bad attitude, and then that client just sets the culture for the entire organization or that particular person that they're working with. So what happened in essence is the vision didn't drive that person's interaction with that client. The frustration of the moment did. And that this is not the best way to build any organization. You really need to have a system of core values that define how we interact on a day-to-day basis. That's just the way it is. Families have values, businesses have values, organizations have values, and people who don't have values, particular organizations without core values, this is what typically happens. You have organizations that don't have core values. Each and every individual decides what's important. And I'll tell you, that's a dangerous place to be. When let's say you have 1,000 employees and each employee decides what value is important. Well, guess what? You got 1,000 different values. That's not a value system. That's like independent thought as far as what values matter at this company or organization. But companies that realize and organizations that realize their success is going to be based upon continuity of thought, continuity of delivery of services, products, whatever it is that you're doing, those are the ones that win. Because you may have 20,000 employees, but the reality is you're operating as one. We live in a day and age, as you know, there's a lot going on with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm glad it is, because we're doing a lot of work in that arena, that space. But you and I know that it only takes one person today to say something, to do something. And that one person working for that organization just defined the entire organization by their action. And that's just not a good place to be. But if a company or organization or agency or nonprofit is not putting any emphasis into core values, then what happens is that person is left up to how I feel in that moment. So they don't have a filter to tell them, you know what, I can't talk to people like that. Or I can't ask that kind of question. Or I can't because there's nothing that defines it. So it's just based upon how I feel in the moment. It can be my historical perspective as far as my family, my upbringing. And it's tragic. But core values, I tell you something, I love, of all the work we are doing, I love these core values. I mean, I love diversity, equity, and inclusion too, but I love the core value stuff, because I'm telling you, man, you can see companies and organizations and agencies go from an idea to now implementing systems that make them a solid unit. Just a solid unit. And so I'm here to say today, and I want to, like everybody else, I want to go home and relax. I'm tired. I've had a long week. If your company or organization is not operating by a set of core values, that's why you have attitude issues. That's why people can't communicate. That's why you have long-standing disputes. You go to work, see somebody, don't even want to talk to them, because we're not on the same page. We are as all these individualistic ways of looking at things, and we're defining our entire interaction based upon that. And so I'm here to offer you something, and that is really look at core values from an integration perspective, not just core values that are posters on the wall, because that's even more frustrating. We're doing a project with a wonderful organization that's got some great leaders, and we're making some some phenomenal progress. And one of the leaders, I made a comment about, he thought that we were supposed to create the values and put them on a piece of paper so that people can see them. And my response, and it was a great, it was great what he was saying. I mean, he was pretty much spot on. You do want that. But what I shared with him, I said, the stuff on the paper is really for the internal staff, the leaders, not for the people that we're trying to do this for. The people, this is important. The people that we're trying to do these values for, let's say, and you want to do it internal and external, so staff, leaders, internally, and clients, customers, externally. But the reality is they need to feel the core value. You can't tell somebody you have values and they don't see it. Don't ever deliver it. Don't ever, communicate it. Don't ever role model it or anything. You know what I mean? I'm a Christian, as you all know. I'm sure you know that. And I always tell people, I said, you know what? The worst thing in the world is a Christian that shouts on Sunday and beats everybody out Monday through Friday. Like, you a Christian? you talk about love thy neighbor as thyself, and you ain't loving nobody. I know I'm getting a lot of trouble with that one. But the reality is just the truth. Why am I going to say love thy neighbor? Yes, Jesus loved me, and then I'm chewing somebody out over the most simplistic things. The values define who people are, and it tells people who you are. But if your values don't align with what you're communicating as far as, what's important to your life, then people say, you don't really even believe that yourself. And so it's great, that I'm now seeing a lot of organizations and a lot of individuals who are starting to say, we need to operate by a set of core values. And today, more than ever, we need to. This country's been through a lot of trauma. There's a lot going on. We've had all kinds of political craziness going on. We have all kinds of stuff going around here. And so it's like we got to now calibrate ourselves back to some normalcy and say, this is how we need to interact with people. We need to interact with people with decency, respect, the courtesy. You know what I mean? We need to get kids back to saying yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, instead of dude. I don't want no kid. This one boy, he couldn't have been any older than 10 years old, called me up and called me Daryl. I said, my name is Mr. Andrews. You're 10 years old. You about that big and calling me Daryl? Man, we weren't even allowed to do that when I was a kid. You call everybody Mr. or Mrs. My children, thank goodness, still do. But, they call people, adults, Mr. and Mrs., even though they're pretty much adults now themselves. But the reality is that without core values, that kid, or even any kind of values, you can say whatever you want. That kid somehow felt comfortable calling me Daryl, but if you talk to my children, they're not going to call you by their first name, because in our home, we communicate another message. You treat adults with respect, and you respect them for who they are. So just like an organization. So just keep in mind, the core values are filters. They tell all the employees, they tell all the leaders, they tell all the stakeholders how we act, how we communicate, how we respond as an organization, as a business, as an agency, across the board. Because a lack of core values will go exactly the opposite. You're going to have acrimony, attitude, disposition. I don't like this person. I have not liked them in 15 years, but been working with them for 15 years. That's incredible to me. So consider some core values as a company perspective. If you don't have them, or if it's not integrated, consider a nonprofit agency. We're doing a lot of the work. Of course, we can help, but also the big thing right now is that you need to recognize the fact that there's a need, because if not, then it's business as usual. So that's all I have for today. I just wanted to share something about there regarding this. I mean, I've been watching a lot of organizations advance, and I've seen a lot of them digress, man, go backwards. Because the reality is, if you don't have any core values, anything goes. And that's why people say, thank God it's Friday instead of thank God it's Monday. If you have a job that has core values, Monday's not a bad day either. But if it's a job that people can't stand work and attitude, then guess what? Friday is the best day of the week, just to get away from there. And that's not a good, healthy way to live 30, 40 years of your life. And most folks aren't staying on jobs that long anymore, but they go to different job to job. But you want to be in a place where you just feels good. This makes sense, not just to the clients and the customers, but to the team as well. All right. Have a great weekend. Take care.